Hi, welcome to my channel.
Hey, Uncle Kenny! Football! Hey, yeah!
If you're new here, my name is Cedric. I'm an actor, a filmmaker, a screenwriter, and a YouTube reactor. And we're starting RM's solo performances now with his new single, Wildflower, which I know nothing about. Somehow I missed that this was coming out. I'm the worst ARMY ever. And I say that as someone that has ARMY stuff. If you haven't seen it, I talked about this on a live. I got this from a woman in my neighborhood. She was selling it online. And I think when I showed up, she was like, who are you buying this for? Like thinking it was like for someone else. No, it's just for me. The ultimate fan book. I also got these Jimin fans. Anyway, oh, I also have these two, I'm trying to collect all the BTS Americanos. That's not why you're here. You'll notice that I'm up out of my chair. It's because I've been sitting a lot lately, and so I felt like when I was doing these videos, I've got to shoot a couple. Christmas is coming up. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do all the things I need to do. So I just felt like moving a little bit. So it's a little bit of a different vibe. It's mainly just for me. Sorry if that bothers you, but that is what it is. Before we jump in, I want to say thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Thank you again for your support as, you know, everything that's happening. It's kind of a downtime for filming right now. Traditionally, December, January, there's not a lot going on. I am filming in January, which is exciting, but it's kind of a time for me to focus on screenwriting, but also recover a little bit from some burnout, I think. Just that like constant creation has been a little, it's been hard on me. And so I think I've kind of pulled back a little bit over the last few days, not really on purpose either, just because I had to. And I appreciate your support as I continue to navigate this whole life that I've chosen, and I'm very grateful to be able to have and to live. So thank you as always for your support. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I don't know what to expect from this, but I am very excited. This is RM with Eugene, who I'm sure is famous. I've never heard of them, but I'm excited about it. I have no expectations other than that it is RM, so I'm expecting it to deal with some sort of existential theme. He's very intelligent. He likes to use his music to talk about those kinds of things. So I'm assuming that there's going to be some sort of fairly high-level philosophical, intellectual discussion happening in this video. Let's find out. This is RM Wildflower. Big hit. Music. Oh, what an opening shot. Touch angle. Yeah, so there's a lot that I'm already picking up on here. Right off the bat, he's discussing this kind of this idea of who am I, like there's so much happening around me. And we started on these gorgeous cotton candy-like clouds just coming over top, hearing the fireworks, this purple and pink. The idea of a wildflower, it looks like, you know, this picture that we have of wildflowers, this purple and pink and colorful rolling hills. It kind of evokes that, but then we cut down, it's night, but there's the fireworks happening that look like pollen, that look like flowers bursting up in the sky that are surrounding him. And did you notice on the wide shot that was behind him, all the fireworks shooting up past him and exploding above him, that he is isolated then in the darkness, that he is isolated underneath all of that. And the one shot, the camera's pushing in toward him and you see the firework going off. One of my favorite kinds of fireworks are the ones that kind of flash after they go off. But it almost looks like paparazzi, right? It almost looks like cameras flashing. It almost looks like he's in, you know, a concert maybe. That there's stuff happening around him, and yet he's kind of isolated against it. But low camera, low angle, Dutch angles, coming and pushing it on him, allowing him to be strong in the face of that, makes it less of a, oh, I'm overwhelmed by this, and more just, I am sort of an island of serenity, or at least attempted serenity within that space, if that makes any sense at all. So I think it's gorgeously shot. I love the punch in with the music, how it really kind of bursts in, and you know, I'm loving where this is going. Now it's got this beautiful, serene, more washed out kind of vibe here. Not nearly as evocative with the colors, with the production design, even with the color grade, it's more pulled back. So, you know, are they going to contrast this? Look at his costume here. There's nice texture on the costume, but it's softer. Now he's in a field. I'm excited to see where this goes. Nice. Oh, cool shot. That reminds me of oh, what is that song? On. Oh, cool voice, Eugene. Oh, flower work. Cool. God, that's beautiful. Okay, so Eugene, great voice. Very Hayley Williams from Paramore. That kind of punk rock, I love. You know, that's when I was growing up, that was like what was really in. So what a cool voice, and what a great contrast with RM, who's got that laid back but hard approach to a lot of his music, and to his own rapping, and to his own hip hop, and also to his own vocals when he does it. There is an inherent aggression to the way that he tends to approach things, in spite of it being so cool. And I think that that shows within this. The idea of a flower work is wonderful. And again, the fireworks going off looked like flowers, but a firework is an explosion, right? It's necessarily violent. And flowers are, you know, I can't think of any flowers that are necessarily violent. I think they're necessarily peaceful, I would argue. I don't know. I'm sure there's a botanist out there that's like, no, there's this flower that eats things.
Okay, but now I'm wondering, are there any inherently violent flowers? Not these blueberries, though. These aren't violent. But flowers are.
Other than the Venus flytrap, which obviously eats things. But is that a flower? I don't know.
So they have flowers, but are plants, I guess. Right? This is why I'm glad I'm an animal. This is too complex.
But now we're pulling back in this blue, purple, pink from the beginning where we saw the clouds. He's up on this hill, which also kind of reminds me of Spring Day. So I wonder if he's referencing some of their videos here, because the one location really, and I couldn't remember the name of the song. I thought of it. I think I said it while I was watching, but on where, not the Kinetic Manifesto version, the music video, barren trees in this field, and then we're seeing him walk toward this tree up here. And so to me, it's reminiscent of those things, and it feels like something that RM would do would be to call back those videos that we've seen from him. So I love that they've now gone with softer lighting, that it's now again, it's getting a little bit more saturated now as he's entering, or he went through the chorus there and now he's going back into a verse. But to go from this saturated firework gold and black look to this hyper colorful, peaceful, serene, I think I keep using the word serenity, but it reminds us that he is, and you know, he's kind of the spokesman of BTS. He's kind of the anchor in a way, especially as an English speaker. He is sort of the lens through which I can view BTS in interviews, if that makes sense, because I don't speak Korean. And so I either have the subtitles, or when RM's speaking, I don't have that. Or I can just understand it. And so being able to see him position himself as being that, as being this sort of rock solid space surrounded by so much that's going on, and what that does to him, like mentally, it's where he wants to be, but also it is exhausting and it is hard. And for him to choose to take this single and say, you know, I'm going out in these fields and I'm doing this, everything is so exhausting from A to Z, the line that I paused on here, that he's so tired, and this is restoration, is just being sort of that quiet aloneness. And I think it's powerful that he releases this song when they're on their hiatus, this idea of him being alone for a little bit, and why that's not necessarily bad. Yeah, even in this storm, he's calm. Sorry, Eugene, you're wonderful. You're a very good singer. Wow, just profound lyrics there, right? I'm tired of being tossed in the air. I want to stay grounded. I cling to the edge of dawn. Was that what it was? I cling to dawn's edges, something like that. Oh my gosh. That is, I mean, what a lyric, you know? It's one of those where you write it and you're like, yeah. But, you know, as someone who is an ARMY and who is a BTS fan, and who knows the thoughtfulness that RM engages with the world with, Blue and Gray, for example, when he says the whole, like, I dance upon this city. I don't believe in a God that's called certainty. Like, he is those things. And so he kind of, I think, thrives in this sort of chaotic unknown. That's where he finds that something greater that we all look for. And so I think that this reflects that in the midst of all this chaos of this storm that's blowing by him, like, he stands strong. That doesn't mean that that's easy for him. It doesn't mean that it's easy for him to have to be on all the time. Yeah, it's difficult. As someone who, like, is in the performing arts industry, it is difficult to constantly have to be, you know, whether or not I'm being my authentic self doesn't mean that I don't have to, like, be clicking away up here at how I'm presenting myself, etc. And I'm not even close to the level that they're at. So, you know, I think it's just gorgeously written. I just wanted to talk about those lyrics. It's beautifully done. And his performance of still being kind of casual and saying all this actually gives it a little bit of a melancholy feel, because it doesn't feel like he's asking us for help. It feels like he's just asking us to understand. Does that make sense? Like, he's asking us to walk with him through this in compassion without, you know, trying to help or offer advice, but just be like, hey, this is where I'm at right now. And it's kind of hard, and that doesn't mean that it's bad. And I think that that's great. It's kind of dark blue and orange. Nice. Oh, now he's at a concert.
And who tell me like gotta be a someone 난 절대 그들처럼 될 수 없음네.
Nice. Yeah, all the purple flowers. Huh. Oh, gorgeous shot. When he's turning it all upside down, you know what I mean? How do I say this? I guess as an artist and as someone who's doing this, you know, not all that dissimilar to what he's doing, albeit on a smaller scale, at least at the moment, doing what you love doesn't mean you always love doing it. And it can be really difficult. It's easier to get burnt out. It's easier to have this pressure of like, this has to work because what if it doesn't? I have nothing else. This is it. And, you know, for him having this break that they have to go on, to have this uncertainty, and, you know, they say, yeah, we're coming back together, we're going to do all these things, and I believe them. They're going to, if anyone can make the impossible happen, it is them. And that's not even impossible. Like, they can just come back together in a few years. But for him to approach that with this thoughtfulness that he has chosen, and this vulnerability, I mean, this unflinching vulnerability in this song, it wasn't necessarily a happy ending. I thought maybe that last line that he was going to come back and say something, and he just doesn't. I mean, he just owns sort of the needing to sit with it, I guess. And, you know, the cinematography, the one shot where it's flipped upside down and kind of, it's pedestaling down, well, it's really more of a crane down toward the flowers, which I assume they actually just got flipped the other way and then flipped it in post. But this idea of him turning everything upside down, being surrounded by notably purple flowers, and this idea of ARMY and BTS, and him standing on a barren stage, and how much of a shock that would be. I have certain people that I love working with in my creative life, and especially as a director, when I'm like kind of running the set, or if I'm producing or something like that, like when they're not there, it feels different to me. And it doesn't mean that I'm bad at what I'm doing or that it's inherently bad. It just feels a little bit more empty. And then, you know, maybe somebody else comes in and becomes a part of that group, and that's great. But it's just this need to present an identity for people, because you are being judged by a bunch of people that don't know you, and that's the metric for success in your career and life and passion, that he's dealing with here, is, I mean, it can be backbreaking. I mean, it can be awful. Think about what Suga had to go through with his surgery and why he put that off, because he didn't want to disappoint people. And that's like the whole point of the song Idol, right? So for RM to address that the way he did, and Eugene, you know, great voice, incredible voice, and especially to go at the end there, kind of isolating everything, pulling it back, dun da da da, dun da da da. It was a lot more. I think if I was writing this, would have started the song like that, and that would have been the worst of the choices, because ending it like that, to me, helped punch the emotion stronger than if it had started like that. Starting with the burst and then pulling back at the end to say, you know, hey, this is hard. And we're just going to do a few instruments in our voices to tell you that now. And also kind of underscored the idea that he had all this noise around him, and now suddenly it's just him. It worked. I really loved this. I can't wait to watch the Tiny Desk concert at some point, hopefully soon. But until then, please drink lots of water, fix your posture, get enough sleep, and bye.